Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Let's Talk It Out podcast. I'm your host, Alec Lifshultz, a.k.a. Trey Busy. I want to thank you guys for tuning in live tonight. I want to thank you guys for tuning in last week that tuned in live. I also want to go ahead and give a quick shout out to the ladies, Alicia Daniel and Ariana Diaz, who took time out of their busy days in their life to come have a conversation with me about mental health. Those ladies, I mean, they're really helpful. They brought good energy. They brought a good story. I really appreciate people taking the time out of their busy lives to come have a conversation because they don't have to do that. So before I go too much further, I want to give a shout out to Joshua Smith. Joshua Smith reached out to me. He said, shout out to Alec Lifshultz for being a trendsetter. His podcast was a major force for me to start my blog on dealing with depression. And the name of his blog is called The Lion's Den. That's the whole reason I do it. Joshua Smith is a black man. I want men to feel comfortable, and women alike. I want people to feel comfortable facing their demons and the things that they're battling. I want them to feel open to saying what's wrong with them and seeking immediate help for what's going on with them. Journaling and blogging is a great way to deal with feelings and emotions and things that are just killing you on the inside, because you're just letting it out. And when you're feeling better, you go reflect upon it and you're able to change, or see what was going on in your life and why things were going a certain way once you start feeling better or once you pull yourself out of that darkness. So yes. Before I go too much further, again, I don't want to go too much further. I have a very special guest tonight. Charles Spearman is with me. Charles
Spearman.
Spearman. That's what I said, man. Charles Spearman. What's going on, man? Tell people a little bit about yourself.
Well, like you said, my name is Charles Spearman. I am a financial and career coach with my company, Spearman Coaching. I have a strong mental health and social service and trauma-informed background. I've spent most of my 20s and into my early 30s working with, at promise, I hate the term, at-risk families and youth. And as of the last 4.5 years, I've been working diligently to provide social, emotional, and trauma-informed career coaching and business coaching for those that I serve.
Excellent, man. Excellent. I don't want you to feel like I was butchering your name. I think I said it right the first time. Spear, like spearmint, but spearmint instead.
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure I said it right. I want to say hello to everybody in the chat room. You guys thank you guys for tuning in. Everybody's welcome in. First time listener, Zach, he's in the chat room as well. So I want to ask you, Charles, you said you have a strong background in mental health and social. My boy Miles, Miles said, "What's up, Big Charles?"
What up, Miles? That's my bro.
I like connecting people like that, man. So you have a background in mental health and social work, you said?
Well, social emotional learning. So I got my bachelor's in psych from NIU. I was about a year or less from finishing a master's of clinical mental health counseling. Then life took a turn in a positive way, had a fifth child, and decided that I want to focus on not giving so much of my child's first 3 years of his life split between me, school, and work, and the family. And so I decided to take a break and take a pivot, and that's how I wound up in career coaching. My day job is I'm a DCFS, Department of Child and Family Services worker, and so all of what I do is dealing with people and their pain and their trauma and the things that they've suffered through. And I have a strong basis, and I was being trained to be a counselor. I was at the phase of doing clinicals, and so I went through all the book learning, all the guided counseling and whatnot when my son was born. So. And even still, I use those counseling skills every day with every client I serve for the day job and for the business.
It's always interesting how life tends to take a turn like that. You have your mind made up where you want to be at, and why what time you want to be there, what age you want to be there. And a lot of times, when people they have anxiety because they see people that's around their age in a better situation that they're in, and they think that's where their life is supposed to be, but they don't realize that life. Life is all about things not going right. I'm sorry to say that, but it's true. It is. Things are not going to go like how you plan them, but it's how you adjust to the the bumps that define who you are as a person.
At the same time, I want to say it's not only how we adjust to the bumps that define who we are as a person. It's also how we adjust to the bumps that show us the areas that we need to grow in. They reveal those patches of ourselves that we seek to hide. it's a lot of it's called shadow work. I spent the years as a BAM counselor. I previously as Ricky Lake to that program still to this day, becoming a man out here in Chicago. And that shadow work is pivotal. Part of ourselves that we seek to hide from others and ourselves. And when it's behind us, we're trying to wear that mask. That shadow trips us up and controls us all the time. But if we put that shadow in front of us, the shadow could be your anxiety or your self-consciousness about something about your body, or the pain you have from a childhood trauma, or anything like that really influences us all the time, that we hide from. But when we let life live, because life is a living thing, when we let life live and we put that shadow in front of us, you can dictate what it does, and you can use it as energy. You can use the energy to grow now, as opposed to being hindered by it.
I just want to say, Charles, real quick, you have one of the warmest welcomes I've seen from guests in the chat room. Everybody keeps saying, "What's up, Charles?" CB fan says, "Hey, Spearman." Everybody's welcoming you, and I didn't get welcomed in like that. It's my podcast, but that's fine.
I appreciate it.
You guys don't have to welcome me in like that. That's fine. Charles is the guest, so like you said, man, it's about how you navigate through these things, man. It's oh man, just going through it, man. I was doing some reading earlier, man. I was reading about how people have the power to heal themselves, man. It's all about your mindset and how you face things. Like having a positive mindset changes everything. It really does, man. Like having a positive mindset, understanding that the reason why you're going through these things is just because you're strong enough to make it through it. That's my philosophy. The reason why you're going through something is because you are strong enough to make it through it. Period. That's how I feel. And again, like I said, man, life is unfair. It really is. The chat room is still chiming in. You are both out here doing selfless work. Thank you. Oh, thank you for that comment. For real.
Seriously, thank you.
Charles, I understand. I mean, when you work with DCFS, I've talked to some people before that do that job. I'm not the kind of person that will be able to do that job because of how much I care for children. If I know that they're inside of a situation that's really bad, like at home, like with their family, or say if they're adopted or something like that type of thing, and that they're at home getting abused, I will literally put on a fucking Batman cape and go beat the shit out somebody, because that's how I am.
So that's the thing, and that's why it's funny you said life is unfair, and the strength that people can use to heal themselves. And the work that I do during the day, and as I'm developing the other things, the realization is this: everyone is suffering. We all are suffering in our own ways. And even those people that can be labeled as abusers. And I have a line in myself. I have a personal bias of my own. I'm a father. I'm a father figure. I'm an older brother. I'm an uncle. So I have a very strong bias myself. Don't ever get it twisted. But the realization is that most people who are doing damage have been damaged themselves. Somebody failed them, and somebody failed the person before that, especially in our community, because we're still dealing with post-traumatic slave syndrome. It's a very real thing. The impacts of enslavement in North America for those of African descent are still here. My grandmother raised me. She was born in 1927 Arkansas. She was a sharecropper. Her daddy was a slave. And when you understand secondary trauma and anxiety and whatnot, you understand. When I understood that as I got older, it gave a whole new context to my upbringing, the things that I've been through. And so I use that lens and I try to encourage everyone else to use that kind of lens to understanding people when they misbehave, when they act out. And it's hard though, because at the end of the day, you're still human. And I always try to tell anybody, yes, you have the strength, you're going through it for a purpose, but it's okay to be down. It's okay to be sad. In fact, and it's one of the theoretical things I ascribe to, called acceptance commitment therapy. You have to accept the fact that you should be upset. Somebody steps on your fresh shoe that you just spent $150 for. Not that I ever spent that much money on a gym shoe a day in my life. I got too many bills. That you should be mad. You should be livid. Somebody breaks into your car. You should be upset by that. No matter how great your day was going before that, in that moment, you should be angry. Heck, I was at work at the courthouse today. Somebody stole the grill off of my truck.
At the courthouse?
Yeah, in the parking structure. Because there's cameras coming in, but there's no cameras in the actual structure itself. And I've noticed it how I got on like 95th and Western, had to make a stop for some gas, come back out to the south suburbs, and yeah, my grill is gone. Like, oh, It didn't fall off because I would have felt that. I would have felt it, fall off and me roll over it. No, it was taken. And I had a brief, I'm a man of faith, but some explicitive words came out of my mouth for a good 5 minutes. And then I gave myself time to be upset and I got along with my night. So I think the biggest thing that we suffer with is we don't accept that we have a right and we have a need to feel whatever we're feeling in the moment. And especially the positive feelings.
I just want to say I understand completely, because sometimes I have those moments when you it all goes out the window for 5 minutes and you just let out a bunch of bad words that you shouldn't say in front of your grandma. I've had those moments as well, but I also want to say that you are 100% correct about trauma being passed on, from generation to generation. I've talked about that before. Like, it's up to us to today to understand that the reason our parents were the way they were to us, the reason why they were, say, quote unquote, abusive or short with us, is because that's what they were exposed to their whole life. That's what they were. That's what they were conditioned to be like their whole life. So it's up to us to acknowledge that and to change that today. It's up to us to do something about that, because it's not going to just change on its own. You're not going to just be like, okay, you know what? I was raised fine. I made it out. My kid will be all right. I was tough enough to do it. That's how it keeps going on and on, man. For real.
Yep.
And that's that slave mentality, man. I mean, you said your grandma was born in 1927, and she's a sharecropper. That's down in Arkansas. My grandpa's from Arkansas too, by the way. It's kind of funny. Yeah,
man. It's real. It's present. We're still dealing with it to this day, every single day. And even as a parent, I found myself having to be mindful, really try. And I fail at it at least once a day, maybe on a bad day, maybe 4 or 5, to be mindful of my ways of being with my children. And as I begin to take a step back and be aware of my own traumatic response to certain things and certain situations, I see how my children act out things between me and their people that I bring around them, or they emulate certain parts of my personality that give me a mirror as a man and say, wow, I don't like that. Then I decide to try. Once again, I suffer. I mean, I fail at it plenty of times. I do my best to be better at the things that I don't see, that I don't like in my children, that are definitely a reflection of me. One of the hardest things I've had to come to lately is realizing that as a man, I want to be the kind of man I want my sons to be. And I've said it before in the past, years ago, for anybody that really knows me, but lately I've been really trying to live that, because I've dealt with the ramifications in my personal life of not living that. And I think another point I always want to bring up to people is, especially when I do career coaching with people, is be intentional about who you are. Like you said earlier, life is unfair. Life is going to happen. Like I said, life is a living thing, but we need to be intentional about the life that we lead. We need to live it on purpose, with purpose, especially. And when we just let life keep happening and we don't at least have it in some general direction, that's when we become off the rails and life goes even further off the rail. So it's a balance to be found in that.
Absolutely. I just want the chat room was going on. Everybody, my mom hopped in. She says, helping others when you are in a position and be honored to do so. We are built to help others. Life begins to have purpose and make sense. Things greater than yourself. Happiness of people are those who do most for others. Yeah. I mean, that's what it's all about, man. I mean, if you are able to help somebody, you should. If you are physically able and willing to help somebody, you should. Charles, I mean, a lot of times you can taste your own medicine when you see your kids doing certain things that you do, and you're like, oh, you don't like it. It's weird. Like when people don't like looking in that mirror, man, at all. When they look in the mirror and they see something, it's like that's man. A lot of people that changed a lot of things when they got that mirror in front of them. It's crazy,
man. Definitely though.
It's crazy. So I wanted to go ahead and ask you, man, like as far as when you're dealing with these children, like give me, like, tell me a little bit about, and you don't have to name drop, that's obviously you can't name drop anybody, but tell me about a time when you were dealing with a child that was just broken, like you could tell that there's something immediately wrong going on at home, and that they are just completely just like, you know, off the rails. Like, what would you do to calm a kid down, like about that's going through that? Like, what would you say? And I just want to, you know, put you in that mind, put you in that setting. Like, this kid is like breaking down, you know, crying, and just because you ask them something, they just like break down crying. What would you do to calm this kid down?
Well, first and foremost, and I guess it's a bias from my training the program I was in, I wasn't trying to calm them down. If that child is in this place where they can break down, where those emotional barriers are finally coming down, because you know the tears and the shaking and the yelling and the crying, that's the physical expression of that unspoken pain. That's that pain having a voice, and the worst thing you could do is ever silence someone's voice when they're in that pain state. That pain has to have voice. It has to be heard, and it has to be heard and felt physically. And so that child, or especially adults, that child, we're on the topic of children, I give them that room to break down and cry, be in a fetal position, scream, yell, whatever the case may be, as long as they're not getting physical with me or the immediate environment. Then we got different scenario going on. But if they're self-contained within themselves and they're breaking down, you give them space to do so. You know, in a session, or not a session, but like a home visit or something, or an office visit, where the child is finally just coming out with something, man, I've canceled entire meetings. I've been late to court dates to give a child the room to just be upset, because that's my client. You know, that's the kid whose safety, whose emotional well-being I'm charged with. And so sometimes it takes 15 minutes, sometimes it's a quick 5. But the power in giving someone, especially a child or just anyone, the space to feel what they're feeling in the moment is boundless.
So I want to correct myself. I didn't mean like calm them down. Calm them down. I meant to say like, how would you console them? And you said it.
Yeah, you give them space.
You let them have a chance to express what's going on with themselves.
Now, granted. So, you know, I'm a man of faith. There's a time for weeping, and a time for action. So, at some point, because that person is so dysregulated, they're so unaccustomed to having that space, you don't want to let it go on forever, right? And so then the next step is, I don't determine when that time is within reason, but what I be there with them in that moment. I'm not playing on my phone when they're breaking down. I'm with them, and I'm looking for an opening. If they're older child above the age of 7 or 8, to get them to verbalize and coach in terms, in understandable terms, what's happening, what they're feeling. And so I slowly begin to get them to give the pain a shape or a color or a voice, and to say what the voice is saying, to say what they're feeling in their bodies. It's grounding, to ground them in that very emotional experience. And then once they're grounded, then some real work could be done, because now, so it's kind of like working out. You know, you got to burn off that fat, then you get into the muscle to build the muscle. So now we burnt off that layer, and now they're grounded. And now we do some real work, even if that's only 5 minutes of actual verbal processing, right? Because the next time you see them, they've had that true great experience of getting it all out. So more than likely, 8 times out of 10, that same child, that same person is not going to need that at that extent all over again. So next time you see them, now you can just go back and say, hey, well, so and so, this will happen. I'm proud of you for letting them happen. You know, you want to encourage them, and then you begin to process the emotions verbally and the feelings and the cognitions behind what happened, the antecedents, the things that triggered that response. Because you can't. That's what the active listening is. Is you as the person that's being given the gift of being in the space with them, have to pay attention to every little thing, because something in that room, a smell, a sight, a sound, your voice, a comment you made, triggered that explosion of emotion. And so if you're gonna hold that container, you gotta remember it.
So I was gonna say, you get, and then when you let someone express themselves to you freely, they get a level of comfort with you. You know, and that's a huge thing with these children. Like, when you let them get comfortable with you, they'll easily open up to you. I mean, kids are very honest, man. I mean, I know you know that, but a lot of people might not know that. When kids will, I always think about, like, when you see like kids tell you ugly, that mean you really ugly, man. I mean, kids,
you really ugly.
So
boy, they don't lie. They lie, but they don't lie like that.
I'm just a little, you know, I'm still in a little, you know, joking mode. I was watching what was that movie with Robin Williams in it when he was Mrs. Doubtfire?
Oh yeah.
Hey, that movie, I was watching that recently, man. That movie is hilarious. But in all seriousness, though, man, like, when you would connect with kids, you could tell when something's different about them. This, and not just at work, man, but even for people at home, with your children, you are able to, because they have a certain personality, they're always happy and upbeat or something like that, and all of a sudden they start, being a little bit more withheld, being a little bit more not running around the house no more, a little bit more chill. You can always tell when something's going on with a kid, man, because like I said, they're honest. They can't hide their emotions very well.
No, they can't.
I want to read a comment from the chat room. Zach says, there is a level of self-discovery that a lot of people have never learned that is required to work toward healing. As we understand that, we are shaped by what we saw, felt, and heard in our youth. We can then work to change how we are still reacting to those experiences. That's, man. And I reflect personally upon things that happened when I was a kid. I'd sit around sometimes, and during like meditation or something like that, I would reflect on things and a lot. You don't get that clarity when you were there, but when you think about back to those times when you were a kid, and you just think about it. He took me back a little bit with that. He sat me back a little bit with that one.
Now, hindsight is 20/20 for everybody, though. Like, I mean, I think I'm glad somebody brought that up. That's what I hate. I mean, we all go through it about this word. I think Miles even mentioned when he was on last month, the impact of this very social media oriented world. No one takes pause anymore to self-reflect. We're so busy looking into the lives of everybody else and doing these comparative analyses of where this person is and my peer is or this other person is. We don't reflect upon ourselves. And that's why so many of us, especially our youth, are lost because we're not looking deeply. We're not taking that time and that space to say, okay, who am I, and why am I where I'm at?
I mean, express yourself is huge, man. So I want to go ahead and ask you, man. I'm going to get a little bit more personal. I asked you about work and stuff like that. I'm going to ask you about your business, Spearman Coaching.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you a little bit like what led you towards branching out and doing your own thing like that, because a lot of times there's a huge level of anxiety when it comes to people.
Oh man.
I mean, every person I know that has their own business that has branched out on their own battles anxiety like to the extreme. I mean, even with me sometimes with the podcast when I first started, or even when I first branched out on my own, man. I was like, oh man, this is it right here. This.
You better preach, brother. You better preach right now.
This is it right here, man.
Man, it was anxiety, and it was definitely imposter syndrome. Because I'm thinking, dude, I'm trained to be a counselor. I didn't even finish that. And I got this bachelor's in psych, and I got this family that's struggling financially, and so to answer the question directly, I started off because a friend of mine from high school had convinced me to come to an insurance office where she was a broker. And I love the feel of it. I got my license for life and health insurance and annuities, and I began trying to sell insurance policies. Fell in love with the financial world and understanding true financial literacy and awareness during that time, especially talking to our people, Black people and people of color in general, and how we have very little understanding of the different ways these financial products can be used to better our current state and the state of our next generation. But then, honestly, as I was sitting down at people's kitchen table, man, I promise you, and this is where the emotional side came in, that awareness of self that I talked about earlier. Even after I would close a deal that would walk me away with $200, $50, I even had a couple of clients who were business owners. Thank by the grace of God, I had a couple of $1,000s of a commission. I felt empty because at the end of the day, I had to look back at my failures, those people I could not close out, and I couldn't close them out because I couldn't connect. Right, that wasn't it. It was because they had no money. And there were people who needed life insurance, needed investment options, needed these things, but had no money to afford them. And the first thing what somebody told me is, man, Charles, I love what you're saying, bro. I appreciate you being here. I love the connection we have, but I'm broke. I'm broke. And the job I got ain't paying nothing, and I hate it. And after I want to say 20 times of hearing that, I got frustrated. And I said, you know what, man, let's get you some more money. the manager of the company I was with at the time kept trying to get me to recruit people. It's kind of a network marketing field. Great company to this day. They do a lot of good work. It just wasn't for me. And so my thing was, I'm not about to offer you this opportunity because I paid $250 for this license. Really more like $500 altogether. You don't have that. And I'm not about to have you invest your money in something that's not going to have an immediate return. That's not going to happen right now. So I began leaning back on those counseling skills I had learned from my first career and helping that one person figure out the job that he really wanted to do. And then before I knew it, we had an hour-long session mapping out his budget, his career plan, and his educational plan. And he asked me to do his resume for him. Suddenly he had some money then. He said, "Hey man, I don't got money to pay every month, but I got 75 for what you did for me."
Ain't
Like,
that crazy how that worked?
Like, oh. I said, "Thank you." And then next thing I know, I got a phone call because he had told his buddy about me. And then it's just kind of grown from there over the years. And I've been using those same skills when I was in my first time with DCFS way back in Rockford, where I started, because a lot of my clientele was called family preservation. And to preserve those families, those adults needed jobs. They needed not only counseling and mental health intervention, they needed money to actually support the families. So a lot of my work became connecting with job fairs and schooling and resume writing, teaching them how to job hunt, just to get them to work their cases, to get their kids, to keep their kids. And I didn't really pay attention to that skill set that I developed. I was doing it all along. I just was doing it without being mindful of what I was doing, sitting on a very marketable skill that I was just living life and pigeonholed into this label of case manager, and that was it.
It's always so crazy how you discover what your purpose is randomly like that.
Yeah.
You discover, like, you're sitting here trying to sell these people insurance and stuff like that, and it's like they keep saying how they can't afford something, or they can't do this, and they're working something that's not beneficial for them, and you get a feeling of confliction, like you're conflicted, like I really want to help this person out, but I can't because they can't afford it. And it's like you said, man, everything happens for a reason. That's what we said about life. That goes back to what we said about life. It guides you in a way you're supposed to go, even if you don't realize it. You didn't realize that that counseling training, that psych degree. I mean, it all goes towards something, right? That's crazy to think about, though.
Yeah.
Like, everything is connected like that.
It really is.
That's so crazy.
Man, and anxiety was a whole part of it too. I could be kind of talkative, but anxiety was a big part of it too. I was every step of the way from figuring out the name I was going to use, and I had a lot of help with that. I had a lot of great people. The mother of my children was an instrumental help in that. Like, man, I had so much help and so much mentorship and guidance and so much support along the way, but because I was terrified, I was breaking into a whole new label as a financial and career professional, and I was scared shitless. I just was, and I stopped a couple of times, man, and I just I kept coming back to it, and now I'm here, and I'm working on a lot of great projects for the next 6 months to a year that, God willing, will really flourish.
Man, like I already know you're gonna do what you gotta do, man. Make it happen, because you seem very motivated and hardworking. And I mean, if you're motivated, and another word that I really like to use, a lot of people have a negative connotation with it. If you're obsessed with something, obsessed with making something happen, it's going to happen, because you're not going to be able to sleep. You're not going to be able to eat. It's going to be on your mind. You're not going to just be able to be comfortable until it happens, man. I'm sorry. I mean, for me personally, even with running this podcast, I mean, I'm kind of obsessed with making sure things go right. I want to do everything I can. I post stuff. I'm running different social media. I'm talking to different people. I'm talking to people different across countries, different all over the place. I mean, I'm just doing a lot all the time. I mean, even like on days where I'm supposed to relax, I can't relax. I mean, it's good and it's bad.
Dude, I'm the same way.
I cannot relax, man. I thought I was gonna have a chill day yesterday. I sat down and I was like, you know what? I gotta do something, man. I got up and I started messing around with some things, man, changing like some show flows around, talking to guests and stuff like that. I want things to be great. I want the content to be great. I want people to be reached out to. I want everything to be perfect, and I cannot rest until I know it is. And that's, I mean, that's, if you are obsessed with something, again, motivation is good, but if you are obsessed with something, it's not going to fail. Period. I mean, look at the greats. Look at Michael Jordan. Look at Kobe. I mean, these people that, if you think about everybody who's the best at something or are obsessed with it. Somebody asked me, why do people that become millionaires want to retire, but people that are billionaires keep working? They asked me that. And you know what I told them? I said it's because they're obsessed with what they do. They're obsessed with that feeling of success, with that feeling of accomplishment. They can't just retire, man. That's why they're so fucking rich. Because they're obsessed with rich.
It is.
Go ahead, man.
I was agreeing with you. I was agreeing with you. It is.
And it's like, I never even thought about that till they asked me that. It was like, why do millionaires retire? Because they got their little bag, and they're like, all right, I'm done. They're like, I'm done. Billionaires. I mean, you think Oprah's gonna retire? No.
Nah, man.
You think the guy that owns Amazon is gonna retire?
Well,
Bezos
definitely isn't now.
Hey, you know what though?
He chopped that few million.
He lost that few billion, but that dude, he still, man.
He still got it though. He's still getting it done. I want to intersect something right there that you said is very powerful though. Now, the difference between those millionaires and those billionaires is yes, obsession, but also is and it's something I definitely one of my coaching principles is living your life on your own terms, right? This one person can make $60,000 and feel like he's a billionaire because he's content with where his life is, and his life factors, the way he leads his life every day, are attuned to who he is as a person, right? That same person could be happy as a hog. He only makes $60K, but he feels financially stable. He's got what he needs in that moment and for the long term. But now those of us like myself, maybe you and other people who know this ain't enough because it's not just about the money. What I'm doing isn't enough, right? So I always teach people to try to key into your values because knowing your values will let you shape your obsession. People always say, well, do your passion. Passions burn out. But your values are concrete. They're who you are, ingrained in you from childhood, and they're the things that you have to do, you have to care about. And then there's, I can go on and on. There's levels to that. The next level really is, I'll just leave it at that. The next level is really finding out and accepting that thing that you're good at and that you're proud of being good at and that's profitable. Because you can have a hobby that you're really great at, but it ain't gonna pay no money, right? But then you got this one thing that you're great at, that when you do it, you're damn proud that you did it, and people will pay you for it one way or another. I always tell talk about my boy Miles. That's one of my closest friends that I met randomly in DeKalb at church. This brother, is doing really well in the tech space, and I'm a bit of an egghead myself. This man knows networking and technology and coding hands down, but he's also great into music. Now, you don't see Miles trying to go drive a $1 billion record. He's great at tech. He loves it, from what I know of him. And he's doing well and providing for his family and enjoying his life. I use my friends as examples a lot of times who are doing well because that's what we got to get at, to the point where we have a balanced life, to where we are having that thing that feeds our creativity and also feeds our pockets while aligning with who we are. And that's how, going back to the mental health talk of this whole podcast and the whole series that you do, that's how we create that space as adults to be able to be helpful to other people and to be kind to ourselves.
Miles is an okay guy, man. You ain't have to talk him up like that. No, I'm kidding. Miles is listening. That's my boy, man. Me and Miles go back too. I met him at college too.
That hold me down, man. He does. So I got to holler my boy.
I made sure I put that quote. He's laughing in the chat room. I put that quote about, you said, would you say passions burn out, but your values? I wanted to make sure I got
passion. Your passions burn out, but your values are concrete.
Okay.
Man. The passion is a quick flame. It sparks up your passion. Something like, think about relationships, right? You meet somebody that's hot and heavy, infatuated, and then you get to know them 3 months later. You're like, I don't know about this.
Hey, you know what? You open up the Pandora's box with that comment, because I see people get into these new relationships, man, and they post each other all over social media, and I just be thinking to myself, like, that's a bold strategy for them. Let's see if it pays off.
Man, it's a bold strategy though.
Let's see if it pays off.
We got to walk that path. You got to burn your hand to know to get it off the stove, man. And I know for me, I've burned my hand a few times and just in different things. Some people learn lessons harder than others. But that's the thing. Passions burn out. They just do. But if you key into what you value, the thing that sings to your heart, that wakes you up in the morning, that keeps you up at night, and then you can begin to discover a way to live a profitable and enjoyable life. Yeah.
I just want to, every time I have a guest on, they always say a quote, and I always want to quote them and put it inside the chat room just for people to reflect on later. And passions burn out, but your values stay concrete. You should get a T-shirt made. I'm gonna get a series of every guest I've had on the show. I'm gonna take one of their quotes and slap it on the back of a T-shirt and it says "Let's talk it out" and put their name on it. I'm gonna get.
I like that idea.
I'm gonna get a series going. I'm gonna take y'all quotes. It's like, hey, you said it on the show.
I'll slide you my logo for my business. You could throw it on it somewhere too.
Look.
Spearman Coaching. Shameless plug. Oh man.
Hey, look.
Oh man.
I gotta give y'all about 10% of the sales. No, I'm kidding.
Hey, don't kid now.
So, I just want. I'm sorry, man. We just completely went off the rails a little bit there.
It's okay, man. That's what it's supposed to do. It's organic. It's living.
Yes, it is. So I wanted to ask you, man, like when you're dealing with this anxiety, what's a way that you calm yourself down, that you realize everything is gonna be okay? Like what's some of your techniques that you use to cope? I always ask my guests when anxiety flames up, what do they do to cool themselves out a little bit, to realize everything is okay?
For me, it depends on the trigger and the time. One of my main things, honestly, is my faith base. I go into prayer. And not the kind of prayer where I'm saying God fix it. I do that too, but as of late, I go into prayer of thankfulness, just thanking God for what the little things that I have. Something I've been trying to tell my children a lot more lately, just being thankful, even in pain, being thankful of where you are, finding something to say thank you God for. That just kind of takes me out of myself and out of my own worry about my path and my future, and it reminds me of all the things I've been given that I had no right to. And so it kind of slaps me in the face. One of my favorite scriptures is 2 Timothy 1:7. For God did not give us a power, spirit of fear, but power, love, and self-discipline. Understanding that fear with itself is ungodly. Now, like living in fear. Fear can be a powerful energy, but living in that fear and anxiety is not of God. Another thing that helps me get calm is that whole physical grounding. I become aware of my body, my heart rate, my breathing. I clench every muscle going up and down. And just once again, it's taking yourself out of that cycling line of thought, that catastrophizing. Or then honestly, the biggest thing lately outside of prayer is I go and be with one of my babies, man, especially my 3-year-old, my little mini me, little light-skinned Charles. Benjamin is a jerk. He's funny, and he just brings me out of myself. Or just being one of my 5 children, and that kind of it saves me from that. That's why I love being a dad. And so, those things. One more thing, my friends network. I don't have a lot of friends. I keep my circle tight, but I got friends that if I call them panicking, they'll listen for like 5 minutes and they'll check me real quick. And sometimes it's a loving check. Sometimes it's a man, Charles, what the hell are you doing? You got shit to do.
Hey, you know what? That's sometimes it's necessary, though.
It is, though. It really is. It is.
So between prayer, and spending time with your children, man. I mean, I don't have kids myself, but I got a nephew, man. I like being around them.
Take your time.
Yeah, that's what everybody always tell me. They always say, take your time.
Listen to my pockets. Take your time.
But yeah, having a listening ear, having someone that you could talk to, and someone that's gonna, again, it goes back to what you said about even with the children, man. They let them express themselves, and then when that opening comes in, you just lay it out there, like, hey, okay, now this is what's going on. This is what you need to do. Like that's what your friends need to do to you, huh? They hit you right when that opening come in.
Yeah, they hit me like, hey man, hold on. Now you done complained a lot. What you gonna do? Or what do you want? What do you believe? Yeah. and I got a couple of friends that just don't say nothing at all. My boys, he just don't say nothing at all. Daniel, he just listens.
Hey,
Um, it's powerful.
that's a good skill for someone to have, man. Just to be able to just listen. It's not something as simple as that. It's kind of hard to find these days. Find somebody just going to listen to you, not hear you, but actually listen.
I got to interject one more thing. I feel convicted to say this, and honestly, I got to say, and one more person that definitely, especially as going back to the anxiety of starting a business, and even now things that imposter syndrome got to deal with, the mother of my children, where that's where it is, but she's still a great support, and she definitely checks me about what I shouldn't be doing. Like if I'm about to go, I'm panicking about money. I'm gonna go do Uber. She's like, now damn well you're not an Uber driver. If you don't go write some damn resumes or do something else and stop playing, and we're not even at a space where we are, my marriage is, dissolving, but she's still there. And I want to encourage people who are listening to key into those people that are positive forces in your life, no matter what pettiness might be going on between you. Because that pettiness that comes and goes, but that true, genuine care and support that lasts forever if you let it.
Amen to that, man. Genuine people are very hard to find, especially in today's world. There's so much fake. Just I don't know, man. It's so fucked up, man. Like as lack of a better term to say. It seems like as the time goes on, the worse situation it gets.
It does. It does. It is. Man, this is just. I'm flabbergasted just to really process that right now in this moment. But yeah, the fakeness for the people young. I'm only 32. My birthday was Tuesday. Man, the fakeness is increasing by the younger generations. My little brother who's 17 tells me about it, and my daughter who's 12 going on 13, she breaks my heart. That's she deals with that a lot. My 9-year-old deals with it, and it's like, what happened? And that's why we have so little. That's why mental health issues are on the rise, though. The support networks are gone. They're not there anymore. People aren't there for each other anymore, not in a genuine fashion. So that's why you got depression on the rise, anxiety on the rise, the suicide on the rise. All these things are increasing. Drug addictions, different ways people just getting high to get by, and we're forgetting that key factor to love each other. That's that first thing, to be loving.
It's such a simple concept, but not many people. The chat room is going crazy right now. Oh man, my boy Gaines just hopped in. What's going on, man? My mom said this is a real love, having a courageous conversation. You need to have people in your life that's willing to show some tough love to save you from headache and heartache. Gaines said don't hold on to negative forces. And you need to have somebody that's willing to be accountability partners. You guys just keep it real with each other and just be able to just let your friend know, or a person that's your accountability partner know, this is where you're messing up at. This is what you're doing. Sometimes you may not see it. Sometimes it can be a hard pill to swallow sometimes for a lot of people too as well. It can be a very hard pill for people to swallow. Just keeping it real with them. But like, I don't know. A lot of people tell me this is one of my weaknesses. They call me an asshole because I'm kind of blunt. But I'm like, I think that's one of my better qualities though. Because I mean, at the end of the day, what I say, it might hurt you, but that's the fucking truth. I'm sorry, man. I mean, that's the truth.
I'm gonna challenge you right there. So now you can give the truth. You can give it bluntly as much as you want to, but check your spirit at all. That's for everybody. Check your spirit when you're being blunt. Are you being blunt because you know this person needs to hear it? Unless you give it to them hard and fast, they're not going to hear it. Or you being blunt because you're annoyed with their whining or they're complaining. And now, granted, you might believe in them that they can come out of it, but you're at your limit with how much you can let them pour out without giving them what they need to hear. Now, if you're the latter, do that. If you're the former, where you're just tired, take a step back from the conversation. It's okay to set a boundary because we can be there for people all we want. We have to be kind to ourselves first. It's kind of the scenario where if you're on a plane, you got your child, they say put your mask and your life jacket on first. Why? Because if that plane goes down, if you drown, the kid gonna drown. If you're trying to support somebody and you're not healthy, you're not in a good space, Even in that moment, you can have unhealthy moments and still have a healthy lifestyle. So in that moment, it's becoming unhealthy for you. It might pain the other person, but find a way to lovingly pull back to recharge yourself and come back later when you're able to give that truth, that blunt truth, in a manner that can be heard well.
I just want to say that I'm never tired. That's just how I am. That's how I've always been. I'm not a sugarcoating type of person. I'm gonna tell you what you need to hear. Everybody who knows me knows this. I'm gonna tell you what you need to hear. Now it's the people that don't know me that well that are observing from the outside that think I'm being an asshole. But people that do know me know that's how I am. I mean, you come to me. I have people come to me sometimes for relationship advice. Well, he's doing this and blah blah blah. Well, you need to go ahead and leave him because obviously he doesn't matter. You don't matter to him if he's doing that. I mean, it's the truth. From me being a man and knowing how men are, I'll hit you with the truth.
Yeah.
You don't ask me unless you want to know the facts. And 9 times out of 10, it's like I said, it's a hard pill to swallow. But they come around and eventually, they see that I'm telling the truth, and then they, like, okay, you know what, you were right, blah blah blah. Yeah, I'm not trying to sound like I can't say things in a soft way. I was not raised like that, man. I'm sorry.
Right.
I get it. You got the people that want to hold your hands and sing "Kumbaya" and sugarcoat everything. This podcast would not be what it is today if I was like that. I'm sorry. Let's talk it out. It's unfiltered truth about mental health. Unfiltered truth.
That's the powerful thing, though, right? You're owning your truth right now, man, and you gotta know who you are. And here's the thing: I always say there are many paths to the same destination, right? Helping people comes in so many different flavors. Like I said, I got that one friend who just cut me off in the middle of my spiel and say, "Hey, man, what the hell are you doing?" Right? And you need that person. You need the trade business in your life that's gonna say, "Man, what the hell? Man, shut the hell up. All right, you tripping." Or because this is what's gonna happen. That person is gonna say something that's gonna be blunt but truthful. Now, granted, the relationship matters. So now, if somebody's coming to you, Trey, that means that they know that you love them, and so that gives a context to that bluntness, right? Because that bluntness is coming from a place of love that's already assumed. But even so, in that situation, you got to give them that because one of two things are going to happen. It's for anybody listening. When you give somebody some loving bluntness, even if it doesn't have to sound sugar coated or cute to be loving, it just doesn't. When I pop my kids, I don't sugarcoat it. I love them because I gotta correct them physically sometimes, you know. Um, but what has to happen is this, man. That person either going to hear it and respond to it right away, or it's going to make them dig deeper into their own perceptions and their own shadows, and it's going to bring them out to something even higher. But if you never speak it, they're never going to get a chance to grow.
I just want to say, Gaines agrees. He says he appreciates me. I mean, they know me. I just want, I'm trying to clear my name a little bit. No, I'm kidding. Charles, you're 100% right though, man. You have to own your truth, and you know that. I mean, you don't just you pop them in a loving way. You let them know that they're messing up. You don't just do it out of anger or do it just to hurt somebody. You just that's you're being honest with them. So I just want to read a couple more comments in the chat room. The spirit of the person is the intent to see a person thrive and not fail. Yes, because I want you to be the best person you can be. I don't want you to fail. That's why I'm talking to you in this way. Constantly checking your heart and keep it cleansed. Gaines says, not trying to appease the masses. Sometimes a warfare and battle comes before the peace. That's true. That's very true. The real life you have that stands the test of time, you will need to fight for having a lasting peace. The chat room they're going on and on, man. So, right now, Charles, we are at the 48-minute mark. I want to ask you. Yeah, you ain't realized you was talking to me that long.
I did not.
So, we're at the 49-minute mark now, and actually, I want to see if you have any last things you want to tell the chat room, any last words of advice you want to leave them with before we close out tonight.
Honestly, a couple of things. No matter what you're going through, find somebody that you can genuinely trust, even if it's one person that you can just release to, and be open to letting them release to you as well. If you know that you're feeling symptoms of anxiety or depression, where you're fatigued, you're losing value in things, you're not caring about things you used to care about, seek some professional help. No friend can take the place of a well-trained and certified counselor. Period. Um, and finally, if and know that your mental health permeates your entire life. from how you make your money to how you spend your money to how you spend your free time to your lack of free time. And if you ignore it, your life will be off balance. So please don't ignore it.
Thank you for that, Charles. And I want to thank you again for coming on tonight. I mean, you were great. The chat room loved you from the get-go. I've never seen nobody get welcomed that many times to the show when they first got here. Didn't even say one word and was welcomed like that.
I love the love. Oh, one more thing. If you need any career services, career help, you're lost in your career, you are struggling, find me on Facebook, Charles Spearman Jr. My business page is called PWR Services. Facebook is giving me flack about changing the name of it to Spearman Coaching, but I'm going to keep fighting that. So it's PWR Services. You can find me on Facebook, though, Charles Spearman Jr. Resume needs, you need help just making a transition to a career path that's more attuned to who you are and it's more profitable to give you the life that you want. I'm here.
Charles with the shameless plug at the end of the podcast. You gotta love
no
it,
shame in it.
My mom says I was raised by two parents who are warriors. There's no sugarcoating but the truth. Yeah, she's right. 100%
She
right.
raised you the same way, obviously.
Right. Hey. She said, thank you both, and thanks for keeping it real, facing real issues and getting real results. Yeah, I mean, I want to thank everybody for listening tonight. If you're listening live, I want to thank you for listening back to the replaying it after it's the podcast version. You guys are the reason why we do it. I want to keep the audience entertained, but also I want to give you guys good information and have some good resources, man. I mean, reach out to Charles. Like you said, man, Charles, where can they find you one last time?
One last time, look me up on Facebook. Charles Spearman Jr. is my personal page. Or look for PWR Services. It stands for Prosperity Within Reach on Facebook as well. And find me. That's my main outlet right now. Find me on there. Connect with me, and we'll get it done.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, again, thank you guys for listening, and I will talk to you guys next week.